What an absolutely gorgeous day down here on the Kenai Peninsula today. Hey fam, it's Matt, and welcome back to a new video. So it's been about a week since I've filmed anything. Not much been going on. I've just been hanging out with my brother and his wife at her family cabin down here on the Kenai. And today we are headed into town. In fact, we are going to be turning into the Home Depot parking lot here in a minute, because I need to get some things that I need so that I can stay at the cabin a little bit longer. So they do have water at the cabin, but the water is pretty irony, just like it is in a ton of places in Alaska, including the area of Willow where I'm at. And the outside hose bibs that they have for filling RVs and doing outside things don't run through the house filters. And so my little Camco Taste Pure filter got 80% of the iron out of the water, but the water in my trailer is still slightly tinged with iron. So what I'm doing today is I'm actually at Home Depot going to pick up a new filter setup that I will then repurpose later to use on my property, so that way I can put more water in my trailer. And then also we need a long hose so that I can use my macerator pump and dump into their septic, and gotta get more food and various things like that. So today's an errand day. It's a Saturday. It was pretty chilly and rainy at the cabin actually, but down here in Kenai it is sunny and 60 degrees, so I might take this hoodie off before I go into Home Depot. Yeah, been a good week. Just been, like I said, just been hanging out and been working, chatting with my brother. We're figuring some things out on the property that his in-laws asked for, and doing some troubleshooting and things like that. So it's been a good week. Not sure how long I'm going to be down here. Probably for at least another week or so before I can go back to the campground that I was staying at, because he's got a big group coming into the campground over the 4th of July weekend, which is a week from today. And so he said he might not have room for me if I decide to come back during 4th of July weekend. So I'm going to stay down here for hopefully another week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks, and then head back up to Willow, because I've got a lot of work to do on my own property. Anyway, we are here at Home Depot, so I'm going to find a suitable parking spot, and then we will go in and get what I need. Alright guys, of course Home Depot is out of one of the adapters I need to adapt the water filter to fit a hose. And Alaska Industrial Hardware also did not have the adapter direction that I need. They had the other one that Home Depot had one of, but they don't have the other one. So we're gonna throw up a Hail Mary and go check Walmart and see if they've got it, and then if not, then we'll see what's in Soldotna, because I think these are the only options out here in Kenai. Yeah, bummer. Home Depot had 2 places for the one adapter that I need, and they were completely out, and the guy said that they didn't have any more. Just one of the things you deal with up here. Things are harder to get. Also, there is no Lowe's here on the peninsula. There used to be one. I don't know if you guys can see it back there on the camera, but where that storage place is behind this Quality Inn back there, that used to be a Lowe's, but they closed a long time ago. So now it's just Home Depot, pretty much. The orange store, as it's often called. Anyway, we're gonna try Walmart to see if they have the garden hose adapter that I need. All right, so Walmart was a bust for the part that I needed, but I needed to get food and stuff there too. So got everything I needed there. Do have one more trick up my sleeve. There is an Ace Hardware in between here and where the cabin is. So I am going to stop there and see if they have the adapter that I need. If not, then I might drive into Anchorage just to get one just to get one plumbing adapter. It's Alaska, and I'm laughing because it's hilarious, but also frustrating that Home Depot they're just out. Everybody must be trying to do what I'm doing because it's still the beginning of the summer and people are getting things ready and coming down to the Kenai to go fishing. The Kenai River, as I was driving by it, was just full of people. So everybody's down here on the peninsula right now. Anyway, I am gonna go get some lunch and then start heading towards that Ace Hardware before I head back to the cabin. Also, you might notice that I took off my hoodie. What is this guy doing? He was backing up and I was waiting for him to pull out, but he backed up and is pulling back in again. Anyway, you might have noticed that I took my hoodie off because it is 60 degrees technically, at least my truck thinks it's 60 degrees. But it don't feel like it. It feels like it's 90. It is hot. It's also a lot more humid down here in Kenai than it is up in Willow. I don't know if it actually is, but it feels that way. Because whenever I come down here to visit, I don't have to use drops in my eyes from the PRK. But back in Willow, I was having to use the drops because my eyes were drying out. And once again, I am behind somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. Pulling into Walmart, I was stuck behind a line of 3 cars where the person at the front was like lost or confused or I don't know what, but they were just moseying at like idle speed through the edges of the Walmart parking lot trying to figure out where they wanted to go, and it was super annoying. And the reason I couldn't just turn into an aisle is because they had the back half of the Walmart parking lot closed off for a little auto show, like a little cars and coffee type deal for a fundraiser. And so we were just all stuck behind this guy as we circled the outer edge of the parking lot and couldn't go around him or duck into an aisle because they were all closed on that half of the parking lot. So super annoying. Anyway, that's my rant for the day. Is anyone surprised at this point? All right, lunch has been consumed. It was delicious, delicious mystery restaurant food. Can I also just say, so I was watching YouTube in the Taco Bell parking lot while I was eating my food. And I follow a few channels online that post body cam footage from police, and I just want to thank whoever pushed to have the body cams, to have all the police use body cams, because it's just a never-ending source of entertainment to just see how many dumb people there are out there in the world. Anyway, love me some good police body cam YouTube. It's quite entertaining. All right, it's Ace Hardware from the top rope, because this is the one I got from Home Depot. This is the male or female side, I can't remember. But this has to thread into the water filter, and that will thread onto a hose. And then this needs to come out the other side and go the other way. So that side threads into the water filter, and that side threads into a hose. And yes, I tested everything, and everything works. And I have thread tape, and this is what I needed. This is what Home Depot had 2 spots for, but none in stock. And here at Ace Hardware, this was a couple bucks more than, I think this was $10 here, and it was like 7 something at Home Depot. But at least Ace Hardware had a ton of these. So that makes me super happy. And yes, I did thread both of these into the water filter, and it fits like a glove, and both of these onto the hose, and it fits like a glove. So this will work perfectly. Perfect. Excellent. If Ace Hardware hadn't had these, I told the kid in there as I was checking out, I was like, so glad that you had these, and then I remembered that there's an Ace Hardware here, because otherwise I was going to drive into Anchorage. And he was like, oh yeah, you don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that unless you have to. So super happy that I found what I needed at Ace Hardware. So now we're gonna get gas, and then I'm gonna head back to the cabin. All right, guys. I know this is in the shower for the trailer here, but just got done refilling my water tank on the trailer from the cabin down here on the Kenai. And like I think I mentioned in another clip, the water here is pretty irony, so I bought this whole home water filter with a 5 micron filter from Home Depot just to try it out, and it worked pretty good. I still have to run the parts per million test for the water that's coming out of the sink. And now my fresh tank was not empty, and so there still was some water in there that had a bit of iron in it, because I did run it through a 30 micron filter when I filled it up last week from the same well here, but the water was still slightly tinted yellow from the iron, but the water that's coming out of the system now looks pretty good. So I'm hoping to see a much less count on the parts per million meter when I go to test it here in a minute. All right, sorry if you guys can hear my ice maker in the background, but I want more ice, so I don't want to turn it off. But I don't know how well it'll come across in video, but this water previously, when I would pump it out of the tank and into this Corel bowl, was obviously tinted yellow, and now it looks pretty clear. So I'm going to use this parts per million meter. Let's get this dirty rag out of the way. I'm going to use this parts per million meter that came with my zero water pitcher to see what the parts per million is. Previously it was about 110 or so parts per million. All right, got it turned on, so let's see what it is. 77, 78. So it reduced it by over 40 parts per million just by running the well water through that 5 micron filter. And I didn't use a pre-filter either. I meant to. I was going to use my Camco water filter as a pre-filter, but I forgot when we hooked it up to the house. But yeah, that reduced, that 5 micron filter reduced the parts per million count by over 40. So that's pretty cool. Now that parts per million meter that comes with the zero water filters probably isn't entirely accurate, but as long as you use it in comparison to itself, then it'll give you a good idea of how your water filters are doing. So that thing does show, by the way, with using the zero water filters in my zero water pitcher, that it goes down to 0 parts per million. So that's what I've been drinking out of. And I actually, as soon as I'm out of filters for this old pitcher, I'm going to buy one of their larger pitchers with some of their new filters, because I only have a 10-cup filter and it's not quite or a 10-cup pitcher, and it's not quite enough. And they changed their filter design. So love the zero water pitcher. If you don't want to invest in something like a Berkey, then definitely get the zero water pitcher to do all your drinking water, because it works great. And it took all the iron right out of the water. All right, guys, this is what you get when you discover that your bottom shelf is collapsing. So this one down here, it was collapsing in the back. And that's because Highland Ridge didn't actually secure these little 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch boards to anything. This shelf was just kind of stapled. So the shelf above was stapled to that board, but that board was not stapled to anything. So fortunately, we went into town yesterday for the 4th of July festivities, and my brother picked up these little L brackets to fix a bed in the house. And so I'm able to reuse these to better support the shelf. Now this is the only stud the only wall stud between there and there. So that's the only place that I can put a nice L bracket to support the shelf, but there is a little 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch board in the back there that seems reasonably secure. So that's what I'm using to secure the back edge of that shelf. You can see that they secured this side, but this side they did not attach to the wall stud for whatever reason. So I did it to, this is the top shelf here, and then the middle shelf, I also did it under here, you can see. And then the bottom shelf, I was able to get an L bracket right here where this wall stud is, but for the life of me, I could not reach back there. So we are just gonna run on hopes and prayers with that L bracket up here, and I'll just avoid putting really heavy things on this shelf. So you can see the only way to get at the bottom shelf was to pull out the converter box, and I could not get my two arms back there to do the screwing that I needed to do on the L brackets. I was barely able to get this one. So yeah, fun times with budget trailers. All right, good morning guys. We are on the iPhone today. It is a new week. It's a couple weeks after I filmed the last clip actually. Anyway, we are headed into town today and headed south from the property. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to swing by the transfer station actually, because I've got a lot of cardboard to drop off and they have recycling today. And then I need to go into town, but it's a nice day and I feel like getting out and about. So the Hatcher Pass Road is open, so I am going to take the scenic route and go up and over Hatcher Pass and drop down into Wasilla that way. So I will bring you guys along. It is a pretty nice day today. It's been pretty rainy off and on the last couple weeks actually, especially down on the Kenai where I was at visiting the cabin and my family. It rained a little bit on my way up a couple days ago, and yesterday and today. Yesterday started out rainy, but then it turned into a gloriously sunny and hot day, and today is shaping up to be pretty nice here in the morning, although it's supposed to rain later today. So that's why I'm headed in early. Well, early. It's 11 o'clock. But normally I don't head into town until after lunch, unless I got things I want to do today. So we'll talk about that, why I'm running into town and the things I'm going to be getting as we go. All right, guys, I changed my mind. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the post office. I don't think I have anything in there, but I'm just going to double check because I just went there a couple days ago. But we will check, and then we are going to go to the transfer station. Now the reason I'm double checking is I had an order coming from Amazon that appears to have gotten lost on its way to the P.O. box. And so I am just going to be checking every time I am in downtown Willow. Anytime I'm near the post office basically, to see if that package is going to show up or not. So I already got a refund for it, but if it does show up, I'll send it back. So just gonna be checking for that. It's unfortunate because it was a Max Air vent fan cover for the one vent above the shower in my trailer, so I could just leave it open all the time. But it got lost on its way here from Amazon. It's unfortunate, but it happens. Shipping stuff to Alaska is difficult. All right, here we are at the Willow post office. All right, fam. Maybe third time's the charm in trying to film this clip, and I got out a selfie stick so that I could use that to hold the phone because my hand was shaking real bad. I've been having issues with my right shoulder and my right arm ever since working on the power system for the trailer. You guys may have seen in one of the videos where I talked about how I had to hold my arm up with my right hand because I stressed or strained something in there. Just by doing a full extend, and now I get pain right through here, and then I also have a little bit of tennis elbow now, so super fun, getting old. But yeah, third time's the charm on filming this clip because the camera or the iPhone switched microphones. It connected to the car and started using the car's Bluetooth microphone, which we don't want. And then I switched it back to using this one, but I had not put this one on my hat. It was down here on the center console. And so, yeah. Anyway, third time's the charm on filming this, and I keep missing parts to turn around because I missed the transfer station. So this is just how my day is going. Yeah. So nothing in the P.O. box, which is kind of what I was expecting. I was just checking because I was just like 2 minutes away from it. But I do have a few more things coming to the P.O. box, so I'm going to keep checking it. I got 2 things from Amazon, a replacement puck light for my ceiling light in the bedroom, because the switch on the one that came with the trailer broke. So I bought one that's got a different style of push switch on it to hopefully avoid that in the future. And then I bought Project Hail Mary on 4K, but that won't get here until August. So I'm going to turn around at 4 Mile Road here because I can. Because there's a little turnout spot. Anyway, bought Project Hail Mary on 4K, but that won't get here until August sometime. Sorry, switching hands. So we'll be on the lookout for that. And then also, I had to get a replacement fog light for my truck. As if you guys know, I put those yellow LED fogs on that I've shown in a few videos, and one of them stopped working sometime in the last month. Last time I checked them was a few weeks before I left to drive up to Alaska, and they were working. But when I went to use them while I was down on the Kenai the last couple weeks, because we drove through some really gnarly rain, and I just wanted a little bit of extra visibility. When I got out to check them, the driver's side one wasn't working. So emailed the vendor that made them, which is Cali Raised LED, and they're sending me a new set. So I'll get that replaced at some point. Don't really need fogs this time of year, but like I said, I wanted to use them for some really gnarly rain that I drove through. Oh man, coming back from 4th of July, we went down into Kenai for their little 4th of July celebration. There's just tons of people there. We didn't hit the parade, but we hit up all the booths and the goings on after the parade was done. But anyway, on the way back from that, I drove through what I think is probably the heaviest rainstorm I've ever driven through at Alaska. And as you guys know, I used to drive tour buses up here, and I don't think I ever drove through rain that hard. It was just insane. So I know the light was not working prior to that, so it wasn't that rainstorm that did it, but that was just a situation where it's like, yeah, I might turn on the yellow fogs just for a bit more visibility during extremely heavy rain like that. So I turned around, drove all the way out to 4 Mile Road, because I was busy fiddling with my phone and trying to figure out microphones and finding this thing, so I completely missed the turn off to the transfer station, and then I knew I'd missed it, but then I was busy fiddling with you guys to figure out all the phone and the microphones and all that stuff. So we turned around, and now we're going back so I can drop some cardboard off at the transfer station, and then we're going to come back this way and go up and over the pass. All right, recycling is done. It is free. They take a lot of stuff there. They tried to find a flyer for me, but they were fresh out, so I'll just have to look on those items. But I think most everything that I'm going to bring down here is probably just going to be cardboard, maybe aluminum cans or something. But right now, cardboard's the only thing that I'm sorting out. So yeah, that was nice. Pretty easy. I chatted with the workers for a minute. They asked me if I'm new here, and I'm new to Willow. It's my first time to that transfer station. So it's like, I don't know what the process is, because down at the cabin on the Kenai, you can just go. The closest transfer station to the cabin, there used to be recycling there, but there's not anymore. So everything just goes in the bin, and it's free down on the Kenai, and not free in Matsu, which is annoying. Well, the recycling is free. The transfer station is not. So if you got to throw away bags, it's like $3 a bag or something like that. So that's lame. Anyway, now we are headed up Hatcher Pass, and I'm gonna go up and over the pass and down into Wasilla. I don't think I have any place else to go where I'm gonna drive by it and then drive for 3 miles and then turn around and go back and miss it again, and then I'm having a blonde day today. Yeah, here we go. Onward to the pass. Alright, I did switch back to the DJI. We'll use this until the battery is completely kaput. It's got 23% battery left. And I'm not gonna zoom in. So on the Alaska highway trip, you guys may have noticed, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the last video, but the quality wasn't super great actually. And it's because I had the DJI zoomed in digitally to try and get rid of all this dashboard. But it made the quality of the video just absolutely garbage. So I'm gonna leave this at 1x zoom, and if I want to zoom it in, I will do it in post. And this motorcycle, it's like a Trail 90 size motorcycle. Wants me to go around him, but I'm not gonna pass on this hill right here. Got up to another pair of motorcycles here, but also I saved the day by remembering I could just charge the camera from my car. It's like, what am I doing? Like I said, it's a blonde day, so I've got the DJI plugged in now. I think it's such a nice day that everybody is out and about today. Got stuck behind a motorcycle, you guys saw. Just came up on a couple of bicyclists, and unfortunately it was right at the S-curves right before the pavement ends. And so had to just chill behind them at like 5 miles an hour until I could see well enough to go around them safely. But anyway, we're on the dirt portion of the road here, and it's looking like it's going to be a glorious, glorious trip. And if I could swing it, I'd love to have my future permanent place up here somewhere on Hatcher Pass, because it is just so cool up here. If you guys remember the land purchasing video from last year, I did drive up about halfway up the pass to look at a piece that was the only one up here in my price range, and it was basically on the side of a cliff. So that didn't work out, but and it would be nice, but gotta get a piece that is before the gate so that you can still drive to it in the wintertime. Just driving along here and thinking about dirt road driving and wheeling, and this is what I grew up doing in Utah, where I learned to drive. My dad taught us all how to drive in the Utah deserts in his old 1995 Toyota 4Runner. See if I can find a photo to put up for you guys. But standard transmissions, and that was the first car I learned how to drive. I've always just loved driving back roads, dirt roads, other roads. I love Alaska, but one thing about it is there's just not that many roads to go exploring, just because of the difficulty of building roads and getting access up here. But so it's one thing I will miss about Utah is just the plethora of Forest Service roads and back roads and 4x4 trails that you can just go up in the mountains or out in the desert and just go drive all over the place. And the other reason I was thinking about this as I pull over here is I realize my rear tires are still inflated for towing, so they're at like 50 PSI, so I need to go out and drop those down. All right, tires have been successfully deflated to 42-ish PSI. It's Hatcher Pass ATV tours. Oh, they've got a nice building there. All right, here's the gate. And now we are into the part that just opened a few weeks ago. Like 3 weeks ago, I want to say, maybe 2 weeks ago, they opened the gates to get up here. So should be gorgeous. And when I had the Micro Mini and I was just planning on nomading around, my plan had been to like spend all my time up places like Hatcher Pass, just find a camp spot and park up for 7 days or so, a weekend to weekend, or like Monday to Monday or something, and just hang out and work and live off grid. But I found that the that the tanks on the Micro Mini just were not big enough for even one guy to last 7 days. Don't know how well that would have worked out, but that was the plan when I bought that. That's why I bought that littler trailer, is because I was going to tow it into places like Hatcher Pass, the Denali Highway, out into the desert in Utah in the wintertime to just nomad around and live. Yeah, it's not just the tank size, as I've gone over before. It was also the fact that I just could not stand to sit at that dinette to work, to do my day job. So that put a kibosh on that plan, unfortunately. And here's a few people that are all parked up doing what I thought that I would do, although they might be up here just for the weekend. But yeah, they had a whole setup there. Here's a trailer right here. So yeah, just park up in a place like that and just stay there for a week and hang out, enjoy the sights and sounds. Here's people camping out on the river, just out there on the gravel bar. They could be gold panning or something. Now there is private property up here, so would have to look out for that. We just passed a private property sign. Yeah, it's just a gorgeous area up here. Now this kind of idea would be way easier if you're in a single vehicle, like a van, like if you're doing van life, or a truck camper or something. So that's one reason why I'm still considering selling the Tundra. Once I got to get it paid off first. After I get it paid off, that's one reason why I'm still thinking about selling it, so I can get a 1 ton, so I can afford things, or so I could get something like an old truck camper for doing little adventures, especially now that I have a home base back there in Willow to go back to, or at least I will. So we'll see. So speaking of mining claims, I think this is one right here. See, they've got a gate and an airplane and a bunch of equipment, and they're out there working. There was an excavator and stuff, so I think that is probably someone's claim. Ooh, I just saw a for sale sign. They probably want $1 million for whatever the property is. And it's past the gate, so not for me, but there is property for sale up here. Also, there's nothing like taking the scenic route into town just to run a few errands. I have the window down because it's really nice out there at 64, but that's the top right up there. I don't know if that's active mining or not, but there's some mine buildings up there. Got a bike jam here. Simply navigated my way around the bikers, and we are continuing up here into the pass. So pretty, look at it. Oh, got another bicyclist. So I can see far enough ahead to go around them. Yep, I can. All right, not quite to the top yet, but here's the pretty part of the pass here. Stick you guys out the window. Summit is right up there. pretty. Decided to pull over for a minute on a pull-out that didn't have anybody in it. This is a pull-out I've been to before. So pretty. Well, wouldn't be Alaska if there's not a bush plane flying over somewhere. Wonder where he's going. Stood around and listened to the ASMR for a bit. Birds chirping, water rushing, occasional car driving by. And now we are headed up to the top, and then we'll head down on the other side next to Independence Mine. And whoa, that's narrow here. Woo. Alright, I put you guys up on the dashboard for this part because we just went through the gate into the state rec site, and it's windy and narrow, so I still want you guys to enjoy the view, but it's safer for me to put you guys up there even though I can't turn the camera to point so I can focus on driving. And just sit back, relax, and enjoy this part right here. Got a little bit of snow still. Busy up here. There's Summit Lake, and ooh, it's still frozen. Look at that. Busy up here, guys. The state needs us to put in more parking. A lot of hiking up here. You got a Bigfoot and a Northern Light. That's, like I've said, that's what I would do. If I didn't have to work my day job. But I do. So, we will stick with what I got until I have a little house built. And then we'll see. And I'm gonna leave you guys rolling up there so you can just look at what goes on up here on a busy Saturday. I mean, this is crazy. Girl decided to walk out in front of me. Yeah, this is insane, guys. If you're gonna come play in Hatcher Pass, take a day off in the middle of the week and come do it, because this is crazy. But anyway, we are over the pass, and now we are going down the other side. Got brisk out there too. It was down to about 56 degrees at the top. And it is July 11th. So you saw it, July 11th, 56, 58 degrees up there. And the lake at the summit was still frozen. Alaska is just awesome. I have the windows down partially because I want to get some fresh air in here, but also so I can listen for my brakes, because they've been making a lot of noise recently, and I'm gonna have to get them replaced, I think. Huh, that truck's got a windsock on it for some reason. All right, we are just about down out of it. I see Independence Mine right over there to the left. I've had the truck in four-wheel drive just because it gives you better grip around some of those tight corners, and to exercise the four-wheel drive, and it's not wanting to come out of it. I think because we're going downhill, something's bound up. This is why you need to exercise your four-wheel drive, because otherwise your actuators can get sticky. So I might need to stop up here and back up to get the system to unbind. Oh, there it went finally. Yep, just had to take the pressure off of it. Alrighty. Well, that was the scenic route over Hatcher Pass. Now we're gonna go down, I think, what is this, Wasilla Fish Hook? I forget the name of this road. Palmer Fish Hook. We're just gonna go down the Fish Hook Road here and head into Wasilla and run a few errands and then head back out. Ooh-wee. The DJI got toasty up there on the dashboard. I had the defrost going to try and blow cold air up there, but camera still got quite toasty. You know, if it was a GoPro, it probably would have overheated. I have had this thing fail to save clips in the past and mess up the audio, but I have yet to have this thing overheat. Now, if you hear that camera, this isn't a challenge, but I do appreciate that this one, like I said, hasn't overheated on me yet, unlike the GoPros. Speaking of, I did try and sell the GoPros before I came up here, but everybody was giving me some insultingly low offers. Like, it's 2 GoPros and 5 of their high endurance batteries and a bunch of accessories, and I think the price that I was asking for them was pretty reasonable if you were to try to buy even the same cameras. Like, yeah, anyway, so I still have them. They're in my trailer somewhere. I hope that view is coming across on camera, because it's pretty sweet. Turning on to Wasilla Fish Hook, and we're gonna make our way over to Lowe's. Not Home Depot, because Lowe's is closer. Alright guys, here we are at Lowe's. I'm not gonna take this camera in, but I will take my phone. Alright, got almost everything I want. Got shelves, got a couple of 4-foot 2x6s, got a plug splitter. Aha. And I need a post hole digger. So I'm gonna get the wooden one or the Craftsman? That's the question. Alright, what's the red one? Alright, back in the truck, got everything put in the back, still on the phone. And now I'm gonna head over to, there's a taco place right back there that's got some good burrito tacos. So I'm gonna go have that for lunch, early dinner, and then hit up Freddy's, and then we're gonna head back to Willow. Well, that was a bust. I think the burrito tacos must have been a special when I was here last summer, because they don't have them on the menu today. So wasn't really feeling anything else in there. It is a good spot, but I was jonesing for some burrito tacos, and they don't have them today, so that's unfortunate. So I'm just gonna forget that idea, and we'll head on over to Freddy's and get a couple things, and then head out of town. This is a lot more money on food than I was expecting to spend today. All right, just leaving Miller's because I gotta have my milkshake. And it's looking pretty rainy, so I don't think I'm gonna get anything else done. I might stop by my storage unit and set up those shelves. We'll see how rainy it is when I get out there. If not, then I'll go back to my trailer and we will wait for a break in the weather, or maybe tomorrow, to do this weekend's projects. Alright guys, we are still headed out towards Willow, and the weather's looking kind of grumpy. It's getting chillier out there. So I think I'm just going to head back to the trailer and feel it out, but it's likely that I won't see you guys again until hopefully tomorrow. What did I tell you? It's sprinkling.